I'd like to make my own video in response to this entire situation with the Mattswhatitis scenario. I've come across some interesting details, and I believe he's kind of being almost unfairly lambasted in light of the details that I actually possess. Before we begin, I do not typically make videos. I've been a consumer for a much longer time than I've ever attempted to make videos, but this is something that has my attention enough that I would like to put in some effort and share the details that I currently have. I've gone out of my way to share what I have with people who are much larger than me so they can kind of get the proper facts out there, but I'm not getting it out, or I'm not seeing it responded in the way that I think I would like to see it done. As evidenced by Drama Alert's response to the matter, a lot of the details he used were actually details that I supplied. So let's continue, and I will detail more of what I actually know.
So I apologize in advance for the terrible audio quality between the video and my screen recording. I have to use a headset, and like I mentioned before, I don't typically make videos. This is all entirely unscripted, but I've tried my best to kind of compile this ahead of time so it doesn't get too chunky. Let's begin. Like many people, I found out about his video and his entire channel based off of the Reddit post. Again, with a longtime lurker, no-time contributor, and I was very curious to see what the video was about. I've been on YouTube for well over a decade now, and I thought maybe he actually had something, and I was just curious to see what the video was about. I thought something was very interesting in his delivery on the video, and I found something about his demeanor to be slightly unsettling, but that didn't take away from the message of his video. However, when reading through the comments on the subreddit, I noticed that it was beginning to turn into a slight crusade, and he was kind of dodging how he was going about handling this. There didn't seem to be a real end goal in mind. It was more or less just beginning a dumpster fire. And so when I came to his channel, and I did a little bit more investigation, because when I looked it up, if we look up his channel, you could see that he's got well over 90 videos. At the time of his original posting, I think he'd only had like 92 videos or so. I couldn't find them. And I thought it was interesting that it was only, at the time, this video, the follow-up live stream, and this test video. And while I was in the middle of watching this live stream, this one had become live, and I began to kind of get involved a little bit. I started doing a little more research into him and his past, because I was very curious to see who he was. A lot of people in the live stream were asking what the point was, where this was all going, and what his end goal was, and he kept saying that he was just trying to spread awareness, but he kept trying to say to spread awareness through going to media. Lots and lots and lots of people started reaching out to any of the advertisers who were involved, any sort of news outlets that they can get a hold of. He really wanted this to go big in mainstream, and I thought that something about that kind of bothered me, because what he had discovered was something that I feel like should have been handled in private, because in the current state that this video is in, with him not censoring any of the children or the channels, I feel like he's almost created more of a tutorial for would-be pedophiles, and I take serious issue with that. I don't agree with his method of this at all. I understand that he had to give an example, but I feel like he could have put more time into that. If his entire effort is to help protect kids, he should have made a larger effort in that himself. That's my own personal critique. That's how I would have done it, I think. It certainly would have helped his message look better. However, speaking of optics and him looking better, the more I started digging into him, I started to find out why he had deleted all of his videos. And it was in this stream that someone actually commented, Matt, you should delete your playlists. And if we go there now, it's actually a ghost town of what it used to be. But it was all of his original content, or at least some of it. And it was his journey through addiction with nofap. Nofap is a community for people who struggle with masturbation addiction or sex addiction, I suppose, on Reddit. And I found that to be very interesting, because it plays into how I imagine he probably stumbled into this wormhole, as he calls it, himself. I'll be outright in saying that, given his current situation, I would not be surprised if he discovered this through his own consumption. And the reason I say that is because he's been shaky on how he found it every single time. In his original video, the premiere video here, he says that he found it through looking up bikini haul videos because, he's just a regular guy. Okay, fine, it's a little strange to go to YouTube for your your sexual conduct, but whatever, I'll let him have a pass on that. And then in his other subsequent live streams, he's mentioned that he either found it through accident, at one point he even says a friend told him about it, or that the one he quoted the most was that he just left his computer running on autoplay and it just wound up there. And that's why he kept saying that there's something wrong with the algorithm. Now, I'm not an expert in the YouTube algorithm, but I can tell you how I know it works from my own personal experience. The algorithm will give you more and more related content. And that's important. If you watch a lot of car videos, tech videos, anime stuff, music, it will continue to feed you that because it wants to keep you interested in the content that it has on the platform. You're not going to find kid videos unless you're clicking on a lot of kid videos. This is a key note here. The other thing that I thought was interesting was the opening line he actually has in his video.
You know, I knew I was going to make a comeback video. But
a lot of people seem to have missed this. His comeback video really alludes to the fact that he actually used to have a history. In all of his live streams, especially the earlier 3, he continues to state that he has no experience with YouTube. He continues to state that he's completely unfamiliar with all of this, social media, etka. And this is absolutely false. That's one of the things that I really wanted to start pointing out, and when I began confronting him in the live streams about it, he banned me. So, I started assembling more details. In his second live stream, he claims he has to, quote, go to work, which in his original live stream, he actually says he doesn't have a job. And while he was at work, he began scrubbing more and more and more of his past that he could himself. This became a little problematic. I didn't have a way to save anything. I couldn't really personally archive it, but all of the playlists are gone. And a lot of his other posts on his Reddit account have also been scrubbed as well, which is unfortunate because it really does kind of shed some light on who Matt Watson really is. So, in his posts, he constantly, or in his live streams, he constantly says he has no previous social medias, or that he never made any videos before, but later on, as people kind of come to note it, he starts kind of alluding to a little bit more that, yeah, no, his original videos were all about, struggling with his addiction, but he never specifies what it is. A lot of people in the live streams were actually previous viewers of his, and they were all saying, Matt, where have your videos gone? Where have you been? And I think that was another keynote in his past kind of coming to haunt him. That's why he spent so much time before this video was posted, probably trying to scrub it. Some things that I have that are very interesting. He refused to go to police. Here's a quote of his when someone asked him. He says, well, bro, police freak me out because they would consider what I'm posting in this vid to be distributing or facilitating child porn. This is a serious issue with me, especially considering he goes, BuzzFeed knows. I emailed them. I'm sorry, but if you understand this fact right here, you should absolutely alter your presentation with this issue. And that's one of the biggest sticking points for me in this entire situation, more than, I think, him potentially causing another issue with YouTube and damaging creators monetarily. Speaking of monetarily, him constantly pretending to not know how YouTube worked was also why he had all of his videos monetized, and for a while his live streams were also monetized with Super Chat. He has since disabled that. Here's a post with somebody actually asking him about nofap, and he says, unfortunately, I spent a lot of time in that world, and he goes on to detail a lot of his knowledge of that. So, some more evidence that this is something he was dealing with. And I think another nail in the coffin for him not knowing anything about YouTube or social media, here's a post of him detailing when somebody asked if they had any advice on how to start a YouTube. Quite a bit of details on how to start a YouTube. So it's obvious he knows. He knows what's going on. He knows what he's doing, and he keeps playing the fool. It was this habitual lying that kind of also bothered me quite a bit, because a lot of these people don't know. A lot of these people were just coming either from popularity, with the subject that he was starting, or they were coming from Reddit, and they had no idea about this guy's past. So, what I don't appreciate is that Drama Alert has taken some of his things out of context. when he mentioned that he had an old comedy channel, he wasn't lying. People are taking those videos out of context, and I don't appreciate that, because I feel like that's actually, it's worse. It's leading people in the wrong direction from what's really going on here. Yes, it's very cringy. Yeah, it looks really bad, but I've watched his videos, and it is relatively harmless. It's just really cringy. It's probably why his channel never went anywhere when he was trying to make comedy. He's just not very good at it. And it's obvious, especially through reading some of his older posts, which I guess you can't anymore, they've been scrubbed, but they were there. He kind of goes on to detail that he is really socially awkward, and, you know, for until recently, I guess he was like a virgin, and all of these details have been scrubbed because he really wants to look as clean as possible in light of this. And it's coming to a close with all of these details. What I really want to kind of say is Matt is definitely a habitual liar, and he's manipulated quite a few people. I don't think that he's done 100% wrong in bringing some of this to light. I think that this might help YouTube crack down a little bit on what's going on. I hope it does, I really do. But until they do fix it, he's created a tutorial for would-be pedophiles and probably seriously enabled something. I take serious issue with that. I take serious issue with him lying to everybody instead of being honest about it from the beginning. And how he sidestepped everything and kind of uses the straw man argument, but, oh, think of the children, instead of just kind of confronting this head on like he should. I don't appreciate that either. It kind of completely detracts from his original point. But I think he really needs help. And I think that that's more important than tearing him down. I definitely think that he should remove everything he's done, but I think he needs help. And that's the big takeaway. There's something obviously very wrong with him. And this is only going to make things worse for him. It's not going to make him a better person. It's not going to fix what's going on with YouTube, and it certainly isn't going to fix any other pedophiles on here. So I will leave some links with what's going on here in these tabs, so you can kind of see for yourself. I'm not just pulling up anybody. This is Matt Watson. This is the man who made the post, and we can see it here. And, you know, just judging from all the guilds, there's no doubt that this is the man. So, oh man, I didn't want to make a video like this, but I really needed to get this out there, because I have a slightly different opinion on the whole matter. So, thank you for your time. This has been Sasha. Have a good day. I really hope everybody comes out of this safe.